Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. I think we know where this is going. Let's talk about it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. And today the movie we are going to discuss is Total Recall. 1990 Total Recall, not the remake. This movie came out in the summer of 1990, and it had a $65 million budget, and upon release in America, it made 119, and worldwide it made 261. So this was a huge hit that year. And this movie is rated R. Obviously, it's a Paul Verhoeven film, so it's always rated R. And it's an hour and 53 minutes long. Now, Paul Verhoeven was not the original director. Neither was Arnold Schwarzenegger. This script had been kicking around since the 70s. It had been worked on. And one of the writers of the script is Dan O'Bannon. Him and his co-writer wrote this script. And it had been around for a while, and it was conceived as too expensive to do at the time. So it sat around for a long time. And then somewhere around 87, 88, Dino De Laurentiis wanted to make this movie at his company. And they hired Patrick Swayze to play Quaid. And they had a director, and they were going to shoot it in Australia. And the movie fell apart. Arnold Schwarzenegger always was interested in the script. And he wanted to audition for the role when Dino De Laurentiis had it at his company. But Dino De Laurentiis did not want him for the role. So when they scrapped the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger went to the guys at Clarico and talked them into purchasing the script. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger loved RoboCop and wanted to work with Paul Verhoeven. So he went off of RoboCop and talked to Paul Verhoeven about doing Total Recall. After some talking, Paul Verhoeven decided to direct this film. Now, somebody that Paul Verhoeven brought with him over to Total Recall was Rob Bottin to do the special effects, the makeup effects. Now, on RoboCop, mind you, Rob Bottin and Paul Verhoeven didn't get along all that well when it came to the effects work. They didn't see eye to eye. Very contentious relationship. So everybody thought they would never work together again. But when Paul Verhoeven asked Rob Bottin to do this film, he jumped at the chance and he did it. And the makeup effects are spectacular, like all the films Rob Bottin ever did. And anyway, in this film, cast-wise, let's go down to cast. Obviously, we got Arnold Schwarzenegger as Doug Quaid. We got Sharon Stone as Laurie. This is the film that got Sharon Stone Basic Instinct, because the next film Paul Verhoeven directed was Basic Instinct, and he liked her enough to bring her over for that film. Michael Ironsides, what a terrific character actor. He plays Richter in this film. He is Cohagen's right-hand man. We got Rachel Ticotin in here as Milena, and the great Ronnie Cox is Cohagen. What a great scumbag son of a bitch he is in this film. He's just fabulous as the main villain of the role. And pretty much this movie is Arnold Schwarzenegger plays this construction worker, and right at the beginning of the film, he has his dream about this other woman who's not his wife, and he wakes up next to Sharon Stone's character, and he tells her about this woman. She's a little jealous, and she kind of gives him a little bit of shit for it, and we have a quick love scene in there at their breakfast table. And they're sitting there eating, and he's watching the news about Mars. There's a conflict on Mars over certain things, and he wants to go there for vacation. She goes, "You don't want to go to Mars. It's dirty." And she pretty much says it's a shithole. She don't want to go. Why don't we go to Saturn? This movie takes place in 2084. So it's in the future, and people can go space travel now. And he's like, okay, well, he kind of lets it go, and he goes to work. And on his way to work on the subway, there's a commercial for this place called Recall. And they basically implant in your head your vacation. You think you went to wherever you want to go. And he asks, when he's at work, he asks his buddy at work about it. And he goes, "Yo, you don't want to go to them. They're brain butchers. I know a guy who got seriously messed up by them." He doesn't listen, and he goes. And the sales guy basically tells him, he goes, "Yeah, it's great. You don't have to go anywhere. It's completely safe. And we even have packages where you can be somebody else and not yourself. You could be whatever you want to be. They have options." And he picks being a secret agent or a spy. So he sits in the chair, they strap him in, and they start implanting him with this memory of this vacation he's going to take. And he goes apeshit, and he starts struggling, and he decks to one guy, and they drug him and put him to sleep. And they're freaking out because they don't want to be responsible for whatever happened to him. So they dump him in a cab, and he ends up going home. And on his way home, his buddy from work stops him and jumps him with these other guys. And he tells him, he's like, basically, "Look, I was here to look after you. You should have listened to me, and you didn't. And now I'm sorry, but we're going to have to," basically, he's going to kill him. And Schwarzenegger just takes them all out. He kills them all. And he's blood all over him. He's like, he can't believe, like, you could say, Schwarzenegger's jacked to the nines in this film. But he's, like, shocked that he knew how to kill these men like that easily. And he goes home, and when he gets home, after telling his wife what happened, the lights are out, and she tries to kill him. And she tells him, after struggling, that she was sent there to pretend to be his wife, to keep an eye on him. And then some other people show up, and he takes off. And after some more clues, he finds out he has to go to Mars. And he goes to Mars to find Milena, to figure out what the hell is going on. And there's some shootouts, there's some action scenes, but basically the thing of it is, Cohagen has total control over Mars because he controls the air. And people have to pay him for air, and which he'll supply, but you got to pay for it. But Kuato, this alien, gets out of Quaid, because he's a psychic, that there's this machine under Mars that Quaid knows about, and if you turn it on, it'll produce an atmosphere, and people won't need Cohagen's air anymore. So after some things happen, I don't want to give all of it away, they end up at this machine, and there's this big glacier underneath Mars, under the surface, and he turns it on after a struggle, after a fight, and they get the famous scene when they get sucked out of the tubes, him and Milena, onto Mars, and their eyes are bugging out, and they're choking on, not be able to breathe. And after this machine creates this atmosphere, and everybody can breathe, and Cohagen dies. And at the end of the last shot of the film is him and Milena standing on the ridge of Mars, and that's the end of the film. Now, reading about this film, Paul Verhoeven said the first 20 minutes of the movie are reality. Everything after that's a dream. But he goes, it's up for interpretation. He goes, with somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the role, you assume it all happened for real. But that's the beauty of this film. You never know at the end of the film if he's really dreaming it or it's actually reality. And that's why I've always liked this film and appreciated it. It's a total mind-bending action thriller. And I know Schwarzenegger, besides Terminator and Predator, a lot of his action films are just considered like mindless, dumb action films. This is not one of them. This is actually a pretty damn smart script and a smart story. And Paul Verhoeven directs the shit out of this film. I mean, I always liked Paul Verhoeven as director. To me, in the 80s and 90s, he was one of our best directors. And I just think he made a couple wrong decisions on films he shouldn't have directed, like Showgirls is one of them. I think Starship Troopers is an awesome movie, and I really liked Hollow Man, although there was some problems with it, but I think Hollow Man's even a really good film. It's a shame he hasn't been around in a while doing a Hollywood movie, but he'll still go down as one of our best directors. He just had a style about him, and he didn't give two shits. He just shot his movie the way he wanted, and the violence was always extremely violent as hell and bloody, and it's no different here. It's extremely violent. The other thing about this movie is totally shot in Mexico because of the architecture. Mexico kind of had that very modern, kind of futuristic architecture, so that's why they went down there and shot. This was actually one of the biggest movies, one of the first movies that actually used some CGI, and basically it was used mostly in the scene where they walk through the X-ray machine to see if they have any weapons on them. That was CGI. And this was one of the first big budget movies to use CGI, and obviously Jurassic Park not too long after this, and Terminator 2. Also, this is one of the last big movies to use a lot of miniatures and such too. But other than that, I'm trying to think here, do I have anything else? I don't have anything else. Nope, no more trivia. I'm going to rate this film a 9.5 out of 10. I think it's that good. If you've never seen Total Recall, I highly recommend it. The original. The remake, I don't really care for the remake. I watched it. Some say that it's closer to the short story. I really don't care. I think the original is a better film overall. So yes, 9.5 out of 10 for Total Recall 1990. Have you ever seen this version? What's your thoughts on it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly appreciate it. Y'all take care of each other, and I'll be back soon with another review. Thanks. Bye.